Hello, I'm going to make rock cakes. It's something I first made in school many years ago, and they're very popular for children to make. I haven't made them very often since then, and my recipe is very similar to the one that I used at school all those years ago, so see what you think of this. Now I've got the oven on to 200 degrees Celsius, which is 180 if you've got a fan oven. It's 400 if you're working in Fahrenheit, or it's gas mark 6. And you're going to need quite a big baking tray because this will make 10 to 12 rock cakes. So I've got 225 grams of plain flour in my bowl, and I'm going to add some baking powder, and it's 2 teaspoons, level teaspoons. I'm just going to stir that in, and then I shall need that again in a minute. To that I'm going to add some butter. You could use margarine, but I think unsalted butter gives it a nicer flavour. And I've got 115 grams which go in. And the thing to do with that is cut it up before you start, if you can. And then you're going to rub it in. So, fingertips, coat it in flour, lift it out, and then let it drop back. And this should finish up looking like breadcrumbs. There we are. I think we're about there. Just to double check, if you take hold of the bowl and slide it over on the work surface a little bit, any big bits will come to the top, and then you can just break those up and drop them back in. And at this point we start to add our flavourings. So we're going to need some sugar, and I've got light Muscovado. It just adds to the flavour, and that's 85 grams. In it goes. I've also got some dried fruit. Now you can choose whatever you like here. Currants, sultanas, raisins, you could put cranberries in, you could put peel in, it's entirely up to you. I've actually got sultanas. In they go. I'll give that a bit of a stir. Now sometimes Muscovado is a bit lumpy, so just flatten the lumps out with your spoon. A big lump of butter there that I missed. Okay, so to give it a slightly more interesting flavour, the next thing to do is to add the zest of a lemon. So you can use a zester like this, or you can grate it on the small holes of a cheese grater. There we are, that's the lemon zested. Put that over there. Give it another stir, get that mixed in. And to this we have to add some liquid now, and it's going to be 1 egg with 3 tablespoons of milk. And give that a mix with a fork. It's a bit splashy, so be careful. It's quite a dry mixture. That's why they're called rock cakes, I suppose. Right, there we are. That goes in. And we stir with our knife. I've got a big baking tray ready, and I've got it lined, simply because things, if they stick, it's a nuisance. So by putting some greaseproof paper or some sort of, what is it made of? Oh yes, silicone. Right, you can see that's coming together quite nicely. And if you press with your knife, you'll get the dry bits to stick to the wet bits. Just takes a few minutes, go round and round. You'll get pockets of dry mixture, so work those into the wet stuff. You don't want it too wet though, because they won't be rocky, they'll be soggy. So you need your big baking tray. With my silicone liner, I might put it that way round. Then I'm going to use a spoon and a fork and start off by making them quite small. And if you have some left at the end, you can always add a bit more to them. Don't squash them, don't try and make them look gorgeous. They just come as they are. The addition of the lemon makes them smell quite nice actually. They will rise, they won't spread a lot. Encourage it to stick together if it wants to fall apart. You can always add extra to these, so don't worry if when you get to halfway you've got more than half left. See, that's not big enough, I can tell straight away. Let's put some more on there. Right, I've got 12 and I've got quite a lot left, and that's absolutely the best way to go about doing this. You simply go back and make all these bigger. And the lumps that you add do stick to what you've already got. That's quite oblong, that one, isn't it? See, that's not very big. This is why they're so good to make with children, because they're so, what's the word, I don't know, it's not that they're hit and miss, it's just that they're not anything that's ever so regular that they've got to be terribly accurate with. And they're getting used to rubbing in the ingredients. And that's all there is to it, and they go in the oven now for about 10 minutes. You will need to keep an eye on them. Look after 8, and they need to be bigger, they get a bit bigger, and they need to be golden brown. Before they go in though, we just give them a little enhancement, which is a sprinkle of Demerara sugar, and that makes them more crunchy on the top. You don't have to do this, but I think it's just quite nice. There we are, last little bit of crispy coating. So into the oven now, 10 minutes, check at 8, might take 12, okay? Right, now these have had 10 minutes. There we are, look at that. They look all right, don't they? So, if they were bigger, they would take longer. So if you decide to make 10 big ones, they're going to take 12 to 15 minutes. They need to just have a few minutes to set, and then use a palette knife and put them on a cooling rack, and they'll stay fresh for several days. Have a go and let me know how you get on. Bye.